Hello, class. In week 3, we're going to learn about another genre of American literature closely related to realism, and that is naturalism. In short, naturalism seeks to view the world objectively, and this can at times create the feeling that we're merely biological machines living out an existence that is meaningless. So, in naturalism, life is predetermined, but it's not predetermined by God, but more just by the workings and laws of nature. So this can give naturalism a kind of pessimistic and hopeless feel to it. Now, what was going on in America that might have caused this genre to emerge? Well, a lot of social, political, and cultural changes. Right now, we're reading stories written between 1870 and 1930. On the early end of this spectrum, America is only a decade or so out of the Civil War, and the South is still adjusting culturally to the emancipation of half of its citizenry. America is also still expanding westward to California and Oregon. Towards the end of this time period, we have the emergence of women's rights and suffrage. Now, in addition to these kind of political changes, we also have just the entire landscape of America changing economically from a cultural economy to an industrialized economy. Families are moving from farms into the cities to work in factories. And this is causing a lot of urbanization. But the cities at this time were not always idyllic and well kept places. They were often overcrowded, full of poverty, and unsanitary. This also led to a rise in diseases. So there were also few, if any, labor laws, leading to the exploitation of many in the working class. Even some children would be working in factories. So there are also no governmental services at this time, like Social Security, work unemployment to take care of the poor or elderly, disabled, or those who can't find work. Now, a lot of times, taking care of these people often fell as a responsibility to the church or charities like the Salvation Army. Now, contributing to the social change going on in America at this time is also a huge wave of immigration coming over from Europe, from countries like Ireland and Germany, and also in California, there's a wave of immigration coming over from China. Now, in the mix of all of this, there were also technological changes happening. There was the development of the railroad, transcontinental railroad, the telegraph. Has been around for a while. The telephone is now starting to emerge. So, new fields in science, also like psychology and Darwinism, were emerging and challenging many of the commonly held assumptions and beliefs that would have been assumed to be true for generations. But even though Darwinism and things are challenging religion and commonly held beliefs, in the midst of this, there's still the Third Great Awakening, which did lead to many of the social reforms like prohibition, labor laws, and women's suffrage that we have today are familiar with. So it was a busy and confusing time in America. People were dealing with issues and ideas that they and society hadn't encountered before. And much of the ideological landscape and what we see in America today was kind of started in the very beginning or was shaped by what happened during this time. Right? Some of the things we take for granted, kind of like Social Security and stuff, are the results of reforms that came out of this time period as a response to it and saying, we don't want this conditions to happen again. So, as you read the stories for this week, I want you to keep in the back of your mind the changes that America is going through at this time and see if you can understand how these stories are written as a response to the social and cultural challenges these authors saw going on around them.